Let's talk about the atrocities going on in Nigeria. November 18, 2025, in Kwara State, Nigeria, gunmen attacked a midweek church service at Christ Apostolic Church in Eruku. People were singing and praying when the bandits stormed in, killing 5 people and abducting others. The same day, around 4 a.m., armed men stormed the dormitories at Government Girls Comprehensive Secondary School in Kebbi State. They kidnapped 25 girls, ages from 12 to 17. The vice principal was killed. 1 girl managed to escape. 24 are missing. This is just one day in Nigeria. You see, since 2014, at least 1,500 students have been kidnapped in northern Nigeria. In the first half of 2025 alone, over 2,000 people lost their lives in bandit attacks. 638 villages were attacked in the last 2 years. Entire communities wiped out. This man is one of Nigeria's most wanted bandit leaders. And there he is, holding a microphone in Katsina State, negotiating with local government officials. They came in convoys, like it's some kind of ceremony. These so-called peace talks have been happening for years. They never worked, but the government kept coming back to them. Recently, President Donald Trump threatened to send military force unless the government stops these crimes. But so far, nothing has changed. Leaders still make deals with the same men. Here's what makes this story different from every other African tragedy. What if the government isn't just failing to stop this? What if they're part of it? Because if you follow the weapons, the money, and see who profits from this chaos, you start to ask different questions. I spent some time researching how these brutal attacks have continued for 16 years. How military officials sold ammunition to the very people they're supposed to fight. How teenagers get brainwashed into armed bandits. How illegal gold mines fund it all, and how international powers might have their own agenda. By the end of this video, you will have to decide, is Nigeria just a failed state, or is it something much worse? If you want to understand how Nigeria ended up here, you have to go back, not to 2014, not even 2011, but to 2009. That was the year the Nigerian government made a decision that would teach every criminal in the country the same lesson: bloodshed gets you paid. Back then, the Niger Delta region in the south was experiencing heavy unrest. Militants bombed oil pipelines and kidnapped oil workers, crippled the economy. The government's attempt at using military force failed, so President Umar Yar'Adua tried something different: amnesty. He offered militants a deal: hand over your firearms and in exchange get 65,000 naira per person, plus promises of jobs, education, and development projects. Over 20,000 militants accepted. The government called it a success. But here's what actually happened. The militants, they took the money, kept their weapons, and when the promised jobs and schools never appeared, many just went right back to violence. But perhaps worse, others learned something even more valuable than money. The government could be pressured, negotiated with, and even paid off. So criminals across Nigeria were all watching.
The nation has found difficult to resolve. Across the country, there are various crimes that are now peculiar to states and regions.
For years in the northwest Nigeria, there were tensions between herders and farmers, fighting over land, water, and places for their animals to feed. These were usually small local fights tied to everyday survival. Herders, mostly Fulanis, moved cattle across long distance, searching for grass and water. Farmers, often living in the same area, depend on the land to grow their crops and feed their families. But with climate change, growing populations, and poverty, land and water became scarce. If a herder's cow destroyed a farmer's crops, That family could lose their whole year's crops. If a farmer fenced off land, a herder's cow starved. Over time, with no police or government help, both sides started getting military gear. Most of today's bandits either come from those urban communities or saw their families caught in this fight. What started as fight over survival turned into organized crime. Around this same time, banking reforms meant people stopped traveling with lots of cash. Highway robbery became less lucrative. So many criminals turned to cow theft instead. But it wasn't just small-time theft. It became industrial. Hundreds, sometimes thousands of cattle were stolen at once. These weren't just desperate herders anymore. These were well-armed, organized criminal enterprises. By 2011, especially after the general elections, full-blown armed bandits exploded. Men with automatic rifles, moving in groups on motorcycles, attacking entire villages, and the government did nothing. After President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua died in office, his vice president Goodluck Jonathan, a Christian, was sworn in as president of Nigeria on May 6, 2010.
While far from perfect, the elections were deemed a success. A nation that has known virtually nothing but military rule and rigged voting for the past half-century.
For many in the north, especially northern Muslims, this transition felt like a loss of political power and deepened existing tensions. When Jonathan completed Yar'Adua's term, he decided to run for president in his own right. At the 2011 elections, Jonathan won. Muhammadu Buhari, a northern Muslim from Katsina State, lost. The north explodes. Political anger turns into ethnic and religious conflict. Churches burned, mosques attacked, neighborhoods destroyed. Over 1,000 people died, 74,000 displaced. During Jonathan's time, farmer-herders conflicts were really high across the northwest. Zamfara, Katsina, Sokoto, Kaduna. Thousands of cattle were stolen. Hundreds of people were killed. Communities displaced. But Jonathan's government was focused somewhere. Boko Haram. See, in 2014, the kidnapping of 276 Chibok girls got international attention. The government handled the situation poorly. Most of those girls are still missing. While international attention was on Boko Haram in the northeast, the bandits in the northwest grew stronger, richer, and more organized. And the government still did nothing.
An historic day for Nigeria. Former military dictator Muhammadu Buhari has been inaugurated as president.
Muhammadu Buhari comes to power. The same man who lost to Jonathan in 2011 and a former military general from Katsina State. The same Katsina State under attack by bandits. You would think he had made this his priority, right? Well, he didn't. According to multiple reports, something happened during the 2015 campaign. Foreign fighters and political thugs were reportedly brought in to help northern politicians win elections. And it worked. Buhari won. But here's the problem with hiring armed men to win elections. What do you do with them after? These armed men were abandoned, still skilled, still armed, still desperate. Many joined the bandit, transforming ragtag ground into disciplined, well-equipped militant. The Buhari administration would not publicly name the sponsors of these groups, and evidence of funding, supply chains, and protection only grew. Back in 2013, Buhari had asked the government to stop military raids against Boko Haram and blamed Niger Delta militants for terrorism. He's from Katsina, one of the most affected states. Yet, under his watch, the crisis only worsened, and many believe Buhari was reluctant to confront herders, even the criminal ones, for ethnic and political reasons. As a result, the bandits just kept growing. Publicly, Nigeria's government insists it's fighting bandits. Press releases, troops deployment, but there's little to no result. And privately, some were working with the bandit. State governors began openly negotiating with bandits, publicly offering amnesty, payments, and gifts. Zamfara, Katsina, Niger State. Government officials held public meetings with wanted criminals. They call it peace talks. Nobelo Matawale, who served from 2019 to 2023, gave new Toyota Hilux trucks and cash to bandit leaders, including Bello Turji, one of the most wanted. Repentant bandits were even hosted at government offices. And when 279 girls were kidnapped, Matawale claimed pardoned bandits negotiated their releases. A cow for guns deal, trade your ammunition for cattle, and a fresh start. Most returned to banditry or kidnapping within weeks. The current governor of Zamfara, Daudu, accused Matawale of misusing 70 billion naira for ransom repayment through the government. A former Katsina State secretary said, "The bandits used the money we gave them to buy more firearms." You won't believe that when Matawale's term ended, President Tinubu made him Minister of State for Defense. The very man who equipped bandits is now in charge of fighting them. The government always knew what was happening. They knew the whole time. In 2021, Sheikh Ahmed, a controversial Islamic cleric, facilitated a meeting between 600 armed bandits and government officials in Kaduna. The bandits agreed to lay down their weapons in exchange for security, protections from arrest, and development projects. The government broke every promise. The bandits kept their firearms. Attacks resumed. Sheikh Ahmed filmed meetings in the forest with warlords like Dogo. He accused Christians in the military of targeting bandits and argued bandits should be recruited or given ministries. He kept talking peace, claiming bandits protected the forest. But negotiating with bandits is totally useless. It just meant more cash, quick fixes, and empty promises. Why would bandits quit? No legal job pays close to what kidnapping earns. Teachers might earn 30,000 naira a month. One single ransom operation yields millions, divided among fighters. The government just keep offering amnesty. But bandits won't trade fortune for farm labor. Amnesty has never worked. It's just political theater. It's even the most absurd idea ever. By 2020, bandits started copying Boko Haram tactics, mass kidnappings, attacks on schools, ransom demand. Ansaru and other Spencer's groups moved west, training and harming bandits, and then they adopted jihadist slogan to make their brutality seem like a political fight. The line between banditry and terrorism started to blur, and the government still did little. May 29, 2023, Bola Ahmed Tinubu was sworn in. A former Lagos State governor, political godfather, master strategist. He promises to enhance security, to fix what Buhari couldn't. Nothing changed. By May 29, 2025, 2 years after taking office, Amnesty International reported 10,217 lost their lives in just 2 years. Benue State, 6,896 dead. Plateau State, 2,630 dead. Today marks exactly 2 years since President Bola Tinubu assumed office, with a promise of enhanced security. Instead, things have only gotten worse. Tinubu demanded that insecurity finish by December 2025. But we are in November, schools are still raided. His defense minister celebrated the resumption of mining activities in the northeast Nigeria, showing the government's real priority. It's all about the resources. First half of 2025 alone, 2,266 people killed by bandits and insurgents, more than all of 2024 combined. And it's not just the old bandits anymore. Under Tinubu, new armed groups emerged. Lakurawa in Sokoto and Kebbi, Mamuda in Kwara. Then the warlords took the spotlight. These are men who command armies, rule territories, and make millions from terror. Men they claim to hunt, but somehow never catches. In Zamfara and Sokoto, Bello Turji acts more like a local king than a fugitive. He imposes taxes, protection money on villages. He appoints leaders and charges farmers for using their own land, released hostages on his own terms. And when officials' relatives are captured, he sometimes refuses ransom just to show who really holds power. Bello has been offered peace deals, amnesty, even government aid. He took everything, but nothing changed. He's still free. His network still growing. Here is Abubakar Abdullahi. He's a notorious warlord, controlling part of Sububu forest in Zamfara. His reach goes beyond Nigeria. His network is tied to other bandit gangs in Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, and more. He's infamous for betraying rivals and forming deadly alliances, even collaborating with extremist groups like Boko Haram to share supplies. His fighters have adopted hundreds, including the mass adoption at Federal Government College in Kebbi State, targeting both ransom and new recruits. Ali Kachala's men operate in Kuyambana Forest. His gang even shot down a Nigerian Air Force jet in 2021. Adamu Aliero Yankuzo commands thousands after his son was arrested. A single attack in Kadisau, with over 50 lives lost, and there are many others. Together, these warlords command tens of thousands of fighters across over 100 gangs. Their names and faces are public. They record and post videos. They speak to reporters and work in public. Yet somehow, they are still free. While the government thought they were making peace, the bandit leaders continue to build an army. And they are not interested in recruiting adults. They want children. See, between January 2017 and December 2019 alone, more than 3,600 children were recruited into armed groups in northern Nigeria. Nearly half become child soldiers, some as young as 5 years old. Bandits recruit through 3 tactics: push, pull, personal. They target vulnerable children, especially almonjiri boys, or those forced to survive alone by poverty and displacement. Nigeria's northwest has the country's highest percentage of out-of-school children. Many are boys left to beg on the street or survive alone. The bandits, they offer belonging and revenge. They tell displaced teenagers, join us, get paid, get food, get respect. And they pay. A single kidnapping can bring millions. Fighters get a cut for a 15-year-old who has been begging for food. That's a life-changing money. But the darkest part is drugs. Fighters are forced to take amphetamine, brown, cocaine mixed with gunpowder, marijuana, and tranquilizer. It's made it easy to end people's lives because it's numbed you to emotion. Drug dependency keeps them trapped. Finally, tried recruits are often forced to commit crimes against their own communities, burning their villages, attacking neighbors, leaving them to guilt or fear to ever return home. The cycle continues. Child soldiers becoming commanders who recruit more children. Now the government is aware of all of this. They know their names, their faces, their crimes, and their locations. Yet, action never comes. How is bandit brutality going to end? Because stopping the warlords means confronting uncomfortable truth about weapons, about those who benefit from the crisis. Which brings us to the resources, specifically gold. Come, let's follow the money.
Now we can add our foreign reserve from our gold that is mined in Nigeria.
Remember when Tinubu's defense minister proudly announced mining activities have resumed in the northwest? He said that while churches were being attacked, while 25 girls were missing from Kebbi, mining was the priority, not the victims, but the gold. See, Nigeria sits on $700 billion worth of minerals, especially in Zamfara and Katsina State, gold, lithium, and more. But most of this mining is illegal. In late 2024, Nigeria's Minister of Solid Minerals admitted powerful individuals engaged in illegal mining were sponsoring the bandits. Senator Adams Oshiomhole went further. Retired military officers were coordinating illegal mining on a massive scale. Let me show you how this works. Politicians, traditional rulers, and wealthy elite buy up illegal gold mines. But they can't just dig up gold. It's illegal mining. They need protection from competitors. So they hire bandits. They give them firearms, drugs, food, and logistics. The bandits guard the mining site, keep competitors away, keep the military away. And the gold, smuggled to Chad, Niger, Libya, Algeria. No taxes, no regulations. Conservatives estimate at least $1 billion worth of gold leaves bandit territory smuggled out of Nigeria each year. It's basically a cycle of bandits controlling forests. Illegal miners pay them taxes to work. Bandits, they get funded. They buy ammunition. The crisis continues. More territory falls under bandit control. More miners get protected. More money flows. All illegally. Here is how deep this goes. Chinese nationals have been caught running illegal mining in Zamfara. Police arrested them. Then, political godfathers. That's what they call powerful politicians in Nigeria, okay? But they put pressure on the government. The Chinese miners get released. Even when governors try to crack down on illegal mining, they had to negotiate with sponsors. Not law, but the mine owners controlling everything. The people making millions while villages burn. In 2022, an investigative journalist named Anu filmed a documentary. She caught a government task force in Osun State protecting illegal mines. The miners got arrested on camera. Then they mysteriously escaped in vans. The task force dissolved. They only acted because they got caught on camera. There's evidence that military personnel, security agents, and government officials help facilitate kidnapping operations, supply logistics. Look the other way. Take their cut. The bandits aren't operating alone. They are operating with government protection. But wait, Nigeria spent billions fighting bandits, right? The 2025 security budget, 6.57 trillion naira, a 61% increase from 2024. But most goes to salaries, personal cost, not operations. Equipment never arrives. Shortages are constant. But somehow, bandits, they never run out of bullets, which means the money is being diverted, mismanaged, or stolen. But it's not just Nigeria who are watching this corruption. In September 2025, Nigeria's neighbor, Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso, announced they are preparing to expose Nigerian politicians. For years, they have watched bandits crossing their borders. Gold shipments cross their land, weapons being trafficked, and Nigerian elite using their countries as safe havens. Now, foreign officials claim they have the names. Some already under investigation or arrest. Foreign countries are saying, we know which Nigerian politicians are funding terrorism, and we are ready to tell. Not Nigerian agencies, no, foreign intelligence. Because Nigeria would not investigate itself. The Kaduna State governor publicly claimed the Nigerian Defense Headquarters refused to bomb bandit camps in Zamfara because bombing this location means destroying those illegal mines, the ones making millions for the powerful. You can't protect resources and destroy bandit camps when the bandits are protecting the resources. So the military, they refuses to act. Bandits hide in the forest. The mines keep running. The gold kept flowing. So does the chaos. Here's the question nobody wants to answer. Are these resources worth defending? They never benefited the average Nigerian, only the rich, only the government. What's the point of wealth you can't use? Wealth that is ending the lives of your own people. Are we choosing gold over lives? Which brings us to President Donald Trump and the question of foreign intervention. November 2025, Donald Trump threatens armed intervention in Nigeria, saying thousands of Christians have died at the hands of radical Islamists. He labels Nigeria a country of particular concern for religious freedom violations. Is he right about the deadly attacks? Yes. Between January 2020 and September 2025, 20,409 people died in attacks. But is it genocide purely against Christians? It's complicated. Most attacks happen in the Nigerian Muslim majority north. Both Christians and Muslims' lives have been lost. Bandits aren't fighting only a religious war. They care about money, power, and chaos. More churches get raided, yes, but so do mosques. Communities get destroyed, no matter who prays there. Religion is just one more thing the violence destroys. Extremists like Boko Haram may ask you, are you Christian or Muslim? But for bandits, it's only about cash or your life. So why does Trump's threat worry people? The Nigerian government rejected American deportees and told foreign companies, if you want our resources, build factories here. The relationship with the US is tense when Trump threatens to invade, not intervene. Let's see the difference. Right as $700 billion in minerals is on the line, people ask, is this about saving Christians or is it about controlling resources? Because see, Boko Haram had been in place when Trump was formerly president, and now it's more than just Boko Haram. There are different warlords, including bandits, which we are talking about right now. So people fear if you are coming to intervene, it's different. But if you are coming gun a-blazing, look at Libya. Western intervention brought failed state, slave market, endless warlords. No nation helps another nation for free. There's always a catch. But here's the hard truth. Even if America bombs dropped tomorrow, it wouldn't solve Nigeria's deeper problems, because Nigeria's problem is Nigeria itself. 16 years ago, it was Boko Haram. Today, it's dozens of groups. Until the country stops tolerating and supporting terror, no foreign arm can bring peace. Still, some desperate Nigerians who has been caught in this cycle of brutality hope foreign help might force change. The devil you know is better than the angel you haven't met. But you can't drone strike greed. You can't invade a country to fix its politicians. And after Americans leaves, who own the miles? The rich or the US? Until real change comes from within, it will be chaos after chaos, death after death. If the US come and left, another group would just come up under a new name. So, should Trump intervene? Is this really about saving lives? Or about those $700 billion worth of minerals? Maybe we are asking the wrong question. The real question is, what do you do when your own government is the enemy? When those sworn to protect you are the very people who harm you? When the military meant to defend you bomb your villages thinking they are killing criminals they actually know where they are? When politicians steal everything and the defense minister once gave trucks to militant organizations? How do you choose between a corrupt government that pretends to help you and a foreign military that might have its own agenda? I'd love to hear your thoughts.
The challenge of Nigeria as a free state in 20th century Africa is the need to revive the stature of man in Africa and restore the dignity of man in the world.
I thought about several ways to end this video, but I'll leave you with a proverb from Western Nigeria. The pest eating the vegetables is right at the root. You can't just cut the branches. You need to remove the whole tree, eradicate all the pests, and reclaim the land. That's the only way Nigerian gets a clean slate. But who is going to do that when everyone in power benefit from the rot? The crisis isn't a bug in the system. It is the system itself.